Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, Bootcon Blitz, and today we'll be having a look at the Vickers light tank at tier 10. Now this tank is an absolute crackerjack. I absolutely love this tank because it combines two of the characteristics of tanks which I love, which is mobility and a good gun, and it even incorporates a little bit of armor on the turret. Now if you compare the three light tanks in the game, the Batchat, the Vickers and the Sheridan, you'll find that the Vickers has the best DPM at 3000. This is running calibrated shells, which I believe you should run, because with those calibrated shells you don't have the worst heat pen. Because with the tank, I think the way Wargaming decided to balance it was to only have around 290mm of heat pen, but with calibrated shells you get your APCR up from 245 up to 257mm of penetration, which is fantastic. Additionally, your HE pen rockets to 116mm of pen, and as you can see here, I love the HE. I'm a big fan of Hesh, and the FV 402 was a particular favourite of mine, and with this tank you basically get to run the same alpha but on a light tank with increased mobility and better turret armor, I believe. As you can see here, this is with 257mm of pen. You can see that the turret itself isn't the strongest, however that gun mantlet is particularly strong. Along with using the brilliant 10 degrees of gun depression the tank is, you increase the upper plate's effective armor, and with those 10 degrees of gun depression your upper plate goes up to 330mm, which, as you'll see later, I try my T62 against Vickers in the hold down position, and you will see I can't even penetrate with the heat pen of 330mm, so you need upwards of 330mm of penetration to get through that man, and it is very troll. You'll be bouncing most tanks, and I've had grillers even bouncing, unless they swap to the premium ammunition. They don't have a chance to get through that gun mantlet. However, the cheeks and the side of the turret are in fact particularly weak, and even when you've got the 10 degrees of gun depression you aren't going to have more than around 170mm of armor there. The tank in general, the mobility wise, it is excellent at 65 kilometers per hour, so you are getting there quickly. You unfortunately don't have the best power to weight ratio in terms of the light tanks, the Batchat having 32.9 horsepower per ton, and this tank only having 28 horsepower per ton. The Sheridan, again, even after the nerf, is still better at 32. So it is better. However, as you will see here, I love the gun. The gun's great. With the Batchat, you have not the best penetration. Your aim time is actually better than the Vickers, but you can't do things like that, which is switching to HE and delivering a fairly high roll of 502 on the HE. Now that is fantastic. As you can see though, TDs will hit you, and if you're not careful they will hit the side and the rear of the tank, which doesn't have a lot of armor. The rear of this tank only has 50mm, and sorry, excuse me, the side only has 50mm and the rear has around 37mm, so you're going to get HE magnet there. I do absolutely balls this move up here with this T30. It was a bit of a cock up, not going to lie, but thankfully we have the T54 who's going to carry us. We'll pop into the garage after this one, and I'll show you what I like to run and talk a bit more about the tank. As you can see, this was the first battle I played, and it was a mastery with 4,768 damage. Masteries at the beginning of the new update seem to be broken with this tank, as I think with most tanks, and I was managed to do 4 masteries out of the 6 games I played with it at the start. I can imagine now it's much harder, and as you will see, I played a game yesterday which is coming next up and I only managed to get a second cast with 6,200 damage. So yeah, this is what I like to run with my equipment. Like I said before, I prefer to use the calibrated shells because stock, the tank only has 245mm of penetration on the APCR round and 290 on its heat. With the calibrated shells, that heat pen goes up to 319, so you're not going to suffer when you have to take out heavily armored tanks like a mouse. Again, the HE pen goes up from 105 to 116, and you only lose around 230 damage off your DPM, and you still have 3k, which is fantastic compared to the other two light tanks, which for the Sheridan is 2,300 and the Batchat 2,760. The dispersion of the tank is similar to that of the Object 140, and I find the gun can snapshot, but I would advise to wait maybe around a second before firing it off. As you can see, this is from the point of view of a T62A, and using the 10 degrees of gun depression on that Vickers, it is really hard to penetrate, and when the tank is moving, it is even harder. As you can see, like I said before, the two weak spots on either side of the turret, and with the heat I'm even struggling to go through that mantler, which says it can pen, but it doesn't seem to be working. Also, that upper plate is at such a severe angle that it's kind of become an auto ricochet. As you can see, it is a bit of a beast. Hold down. I wouldn't rely completely on it because tanks like the Grill or just any TV in general is most probably going to pen you. But it means that when you're hull down, you've got quite a good chance of bouncing. As you can see, 37mm of penetration, of armor on the rear, which results in an easy HE penetration. Once again, speaking of the HE, if you can try and maximize the amount you use it, it will increase your damage per minute up to 3,800, which is a buttload of damage per minute. And when you get to the side of American tanks, the rear of American tanks like the E5, E3, E4, but because the penetration is so good, you can actually even get the lower plate of something like a PTA, which we'll see in this game. As you can see, the mobility of the tank is keeping up with the Batchat. Like I said before, power to rate ratio on the Batchat is slightly better. I stopped by here because I've read the lineup and I've seen that there is a PTA, and I was just hoping that he'd poke. Unfortunately, he doesn't. The Batchat has managed to secure that position up top, but unfortunately he's about to get slapped by a whole load of tanks. I'm looking to get a shot into that Bancher because as soon as he gets hull down on the right, it's going to be pretty hard to dig out. Unfortunately, as you can just see, the Batchat got absolutely slapped. He gets a lucky bounce here, and I'm very happy to take a couple of hits to try and keep a gun in the game, because another gun in the game, like I've said before, means more firepower on your team. So just trying to maximize the amount of damage on that Batchat. I could probably have fired some HE there, and here you'll see that the HE on the PTA, I managed to even pen a low places, and you're dealing 460 alpha. The next shell unfortunately does not pen, I'm not sure why, and that was a bad trade because he hits me for 240 and myself only for 156, which is a bit of a fail. It does seem a bit grim because I don't know if you realise we haven't actually got our entire team. There are two heavies in the town. This 54 is getting absolutely pelted. Our Batchat's on low health, and our Waffle seems to be doing NASCAR racing. It's just completed his first lap into the enemy spawn. Jeez, I've got no idea. I said left anyway. Hit the ice fall. He bounces off our turret again, and it's looking really bad situation. Really quite dire. I managed to get a lovely snapshot on the Batchat, clear him. His mobility removed from the game. I dummy the SU, and I'm pulling back to a ridge line and to get some distance from the enemy tanks. Get a nice max roll on the E4 and looking to get some hesh into the Badger. Lovely roll 413. And again, you can see all these tanks, even with decent penetration on their AP rounds, struggling to get through this tank's manlet. I get a really unfortunate bounce on the E6 again. Luckily the E100 is here to take him out. I'm going to clear the SU and it's all over bar the shouting. We managed to split them up and maybe we got a couple of lucky bounces, but we held well, and with the maneuverability we managed to escape being absolutely wrecked. Seeing the badges fired, it's got about 8 seconds on the reload, and was hoping the 100 would clear him with the HE. Unfortunately, he manages to bounce that. So yeah, solid game, and with the maneuverability, it is a fantastic tank, and I really do love the fact it's got a 350 alpha gun. It really helps. So when you're trading against mediums, whether it's an Object 140, T62A, or Backchat, you're only going to be receiving a 310 damage hit, while you give out 350 damage. This last game, as you can see, the maneuverability and speed of the tank easily getting up this hill. I am worried about the Sheridan on the enemy team, and I'm also looking at our team on the map to see who's supporting. We have a WZ-120 with us, and the WZ-111-5A is with us. I come to poke at this point here with this bush and get an awfully nice surprise with the Sheridan. Luckily we both fluff our shots. I probably could push and hit the T-30, but I'm worried about the other two tank destroyers. I'm thinking about bailing, but then I decide I'll help the 5A. I'm looking also to see if the mouse can possibly push here. I kind of misread where he is in relation to myself and ask him to push down here to support us against the Conch, the MX-50B and the Sheridan. Not sure what the WZ is doing, but luckily he does grab some balls and push up later on. I fluffed quite a few of these shots at the start here. I messed this shot up. I'm worried that they're going to push. If I had the gun ram, I probably would have been able to hit the AMX. Get a lovely bounce on again on that mantlet. Like I was saying, I'm angling up slightly to see if I can bait a shot from the MX. Again, fluffing another shot, looking at the targets, want to get rid of that Sheridan, so I hit him. And here you'll see the use of this lovely Hesh, and with that 116mm of penetration, I'm going through the side, I'm going through the rear of the turret, side of the turret, everywhere. Again, 467. Fantastic HE, and I'm looking again to use HE to finish off the target, but the WZ does manage to help out. From here, I'm starting to have more of a sniper approach, and you can do with this gun. It is a fantastic gun. Just let it aim a little bit, and there you go, start pumping, really start pumping the damage. The name is obviously the 105 L7, which is very similar to the one you find on the PTA and the Leo 1 and the Scent. Again, I'm just using the team, no need to push forward, because actually you don't have that many hit points on this tank. You only have 1700, which is less than some medium tanks at tier 9, which I think is probably a balancing reason on Wargaming's behalf. It's got a lot less hit points than either of the two tier 10 light tanks. In fact, I like to use the improved armor, 4% buff, but some people might want to run the extra hit points, which does give you an extra 180 hit points or so. There you go, cleared the object. Didn't have to use heat until it was absolutely necessary. Going back to the hit point thing, the Backchat does actually have 1910, and if you decide to use the improved assembly, you're going to only have 1700. So there is a bit of an issue if you don't try and conserve the hit points until the end, because you can find that in a 1-1 he's going to have 200 more hit points than you. Clear up at the end of the game, as you can see, on 5k already, and I'm looking for that T30 and some HE. This game was only a second class. I think if I play a bit more aggressive, it probably would have got more spotting, etc. But probably would have lost my hit points. The problem with the Sheridan here is, as you can see, the accuracy of this tank is so much better. He fluffs his shot, and now he's got a 13-second reload. Well, I could push forward, happy to take a hit, got the hit points, get a high roll, and then I managed to round the Sheridan to finish him off, and that's a solid 6,200 damage in the Vickers. So should you get it? Should you grind the line? Should you pick it up? Absolutely yes. I think it's a fantastic tank and probably one of the best lights. The Batchat does have that clip, which is, I would think, better in certain situations, but I think it's been power crept by the Sheridan, and now this. Sheridan obviously has the 560 Alpha, which is better at peekabooing, but I still think this tank is fantastic. If you would like to support the channel, please subscribe and share. Thank you ever so much for watching, and take care.